Hey everybody, it is Brant Murray. I am coming to you from my house. It's a beautiful Friday morning, and I wanted to get outside today and share some information with you. I know we're all kind of, dazed and confused by some of the events that have taken place right now with school canceling and the remainder of the GHSA spring sports seasons being canceled. And yesterday I found myself out at the track. I was trying to put away some equipment for the season, and I kind of was reminiscing on some events that should have been taking place here this year. We should have hosted our region championship. We should have had a few more meets this year. And one meet in particular kind of stood out to me was our county championship versus Gordon Central and Sonoraville should have taken place this past Wednesday. And typically whenever we get a chance to host that was going to be our last regular season home meet for the year, and I would have had the opportunity to recognize all the seniors on the track team. Well, I didn't get that opportunity to do that this year, and that got me thinking, just because we don't have the rest of our season to go by doesn't mean that those seniors don't need to have some recognition for themselves. So I'm going to read out the list of the names of my seniors, and I'm going to say a little bit of information about them. In no particular order, I'm going to start with our girls. First name up, we have Erin Barnes. Erin has run for me for the last 4 years. Erin has done a little bit of everything. She has sprinted, hurdled, done relays, jumped for me. Erin is one of the grittiest, toughest, hard-nosed kids I've ever had the privilege of coaching. Always very pleasant, always smiling, great attitude. She'll do whatever workout I tell her to, even though she may not want to. She'll still put a smile on her face and say she'll do it, and she always does. And I'm really going to miss having Erin on the team this next year. She's going to do great things after this season. So I just wanted to make mention of Erin. Next on my list, I have Stephanie Fuentes. Stephanie is actually a 7-year athlete for me. She ran 3 years of middle school cross country for me and 4 years of high school track for me. Stephanie has always been a very good worker, very hard worker. We'll always kind of jump in any time or jump into an event if we need somebody to. If somebody gets hurt or injured, she's usually one that will step up and say, I'll fill in for that spot. So she's always very dependable. I can count on her to jump in and be helpful whenever we need her to be. So we're gonna miss having Stephanie on the team next year. That's a hard character to find in an athlete. Next up on our list, we have Mikhail Lawrence. Mikhail has thrown for me for the last 4 seasons. Mikhail, as of last year, broke our school record in the shot put, so she is the best shot putter that Calumet High School has ever produced. Even with our time off, I know she has thrown a few throws that have broken her current school record, and she kind of plans to continue to go out and throw and see if she can continue to better herself. She doesn't feel like her season is over at this point, so she's getting a good opportunity to go out and do that, and that just shows a lot about her character. She works hard. She's always very dedicated. She's going to give an A+ effort every time she can. Mikhail has chosen to pursue the nursing pathway, and I can say from right now, even with what we're going on in the world and experiencing, that I would absolutely 100% would love her if I were in a dire need and situation to have her take care of me and treat me the way it needed to, because I know I would get an excellent care provider from her. But we are really going to miss Mikhail next year with her leadership and the ability that she brought to our team. Next one we have up is Brisa Lopez. Brisa, this was actually her first year of running track for me. Very sweet girl, very great girl, great attitude. I was very excited to get her. Brings a lot of good distance qualities to the team. She was doing a great job working for us. Brisa is actually going to be running at Piedmont next year for cross country and potentially track as well. But if you need to get a good sense of her personality, she's always smiling, always going around and being very pleasant with other people. She's not a big talker, but you always just kind of know she's in a good mood. We're really going to miss Brisa. I wish we could have seen her season unravel a little bit more than what it did this year, but what we saw was great, and we were really looking forward to having her continue to do good work for us. Next on my list is Ashley Hartness. Ashley has been a 4-year runner for us. She has actually split a lot of time between track and soccer during her 4 years. So I've had the pleasure of at least having her for part, if not for a full season, during her 4 years of high school. Ashley had been sometimes riddled with the injury bug from time to time, but just was always kind of ready to get out and do her best every time she came out and ran for us, and every time she did, we always knew we'd get 100% from her. She was a state qualifier last year as a junior, and really couldn't believe herself how well she did that season, just because that she started off the season with a little bit of an injury, and she just worked so hard during her last season and did such a good job that she got down to the state finals and set a tremendous PR for herself. Always willing to give her best. She always persevered. Never let a little thing a little setback bother her. She'd always use that as determination, just to push things out of the way, so she could always do her best. She's going to play soccer next year at Shorter. Very proud of her. Very excited for her. She's going to do great things, and we're really going to miss her. Our next senior girl is Ibby Payton. Ibby is a 4-year runner for me as well. Ibby's always been tough. She's always been a very tough competitor, and I kind of got that sense from her during her freshman year. She just goes out and does whatever you ask her to. Tough nose. She always, especially in the relays, she always wanted the baton in her hand. She always wanted to be the one to kind of bring that home for us in a situation where we needed her to be. It just always kind of seemed when the pressure was a little more intense, she always just rose to the occasion, and that's always tough to find in an athlete. And she did a little bit of distance for us, a little bit of sprinting. She was just kind of a versatile athlete, and we're really going to miss having her on the team next year. Next senior is another 4-year runner as Rebecca Ridley. Rebecca, best way to describe Rebecca, she's kind of our utility athlete. She's done just about everything. She's jumped, she's hurdled, sprinted, relays. She's never had almost the same events at region every single year. We always seem to continue to put her in different spots where we feel like she can be very, very helpful and competitive for our team. Very, very hard-nosed. She's always coming out and giving a great effort for everybody, and that's just a real tough quality to find, again, in an athlete. Really going to miss her leadership, really going to miss her grittiness and toughness that she always seemed to give for the team, and that's just going to be a tough athlete to replace. And our final senior girl is Michaela Smith. Michaela's a 2-year track athlete. She actually transferred in to us last year. And she was a good hurdler for us, very good hurdler. We even were working on some high jumping this year for us, and we were seeing some really good sparks from her in that area. So we were really hoping to have some good performances from her. We hate that we're having to see her go too soon at this point. We felt like we were starting to get some really good results out of her, and we really hope that at this point on that she can continue to do good things. But we had a total of 7 senior girls on the team, and I'll be very honest and frank. This has probably been my favorite class of senior girls to come through, just collectively as a group. I used a lot of the same terms for each of them. I mean, this is just a gritty, tough-nosed, hard-nosed, hard-working class of girls, and that's just very difficult to find. That goes well beyond their athletic ability. I know I could always count on them to score good points for the team, but just having them go out there every single day and do exactly what we needed them to do, I could always count on them to do everything that we needed to, and I'm really, really going to miss this class of senior girls. They were a great class. I love you girls, and I hope that you continue to do good things. Now we're going to move on to our boys, again in no particular order. Our first one up is Carson Spear. Carson is a 2-year track athlete. Came out to us last year and immediately made an impact on our sprinting core. First year ever running track, made it down to the state meet, finished at 4th place in our 4x1, was very, very close to qualifying in the finals for the 100 last year. I got a real quick impression of the character that Carson had last year. It just seemed like he was just always there. Even for him being his first year in track, he just never kind of showed, your first year experience. He kind of seemed like he'd been around it for a while, and this was not his first time doing it. It was a good, refreshing quality to have, and that brought a lot of good leadership qualities to our team. And he's going to be really, really missed. I wish we would have been able to finish out the season for him. Our next senior athlete is Tono Martha. Tono is a 3-year track athlete. He is our jump specialist. He's always been one of our better long and triple jumpers over the last 3 seasons, and he's also been one of the better long and triple jumpers at the state level as well. Was very, very close to medaling last year in the triple jump, and we were kind of looking forward to seeing that again from him this year. Some things I started seeing out of Tono toward the middle of our season was he was starting to be very, very helpful from a teaching standpoint to some of our middle school kids, showing them proper triple jump stepping technique, how to move your arms, how to move your body correctly and everything. So he was starting to kind of blossom, I feel like, a little bit, like I said, from a teaching and a coaching standpoint. So he was able to give some of the knowledge that he had in the events to some of our younger athletes. And, sometimes kids respond better to other athletes giving them information sometimes than the coaches. So that was something very, very encouraging to see from him as the season started to dwindle down at that point. But really going to miss Tono, and hope everything goes great for him next year. Our next senior boy is Cedric Lacey. This was Cedric's first year of ever doing track, and we were starting to see really quickly how impactful he could have been for our team. Long jump, high jump, triple jump, all of a sudden just came out and was one of our best jumpers in each of those 3 areas. And we were starting to see some good points come out of him. Very, very raw athletic ability. And like I say, he was going to make a real big impact for us in those jumping areas, because the jumping events are difficult to handle. They're sometimes kind of hard to learn, particularly the high jump. There's a lot of technique involved, and he was really starting to kind of come into his own with that, and we were seeing good results. But that just kind of showed how coachable he was, how receptive he was to taking teaching from his coaches. So I know Cedric's going to be able to take what he learned from track and apply that outside of the athletic world one day. So really going to miss Cedric. We wish we could have seen some more out of him for the season. Next senior is Dawson Hamby. Dawson has been a 2-year track athlete, primarily focusing on the shot and the disc. Dawson threw for us his freshman year, and then we finally were able to get him back again for his senior year, and we're really seeing some good results out of him. He was putting that shot put out there very, very far, had one of our best throws on the season to this point. Was doing a good job of helping some of the younger athletes develop along the way. It was great watching him exceed at that level, and also again from a teaching standpoint, helping out some of our younger throwers become more developed and to encourage them along the way. So Dawson's going to be missed. I wish we could have finished that out for him. Next senior is Jesus Gonzalez. Jesus is a 4-year track athlete. Jesus was kind of what we call a tweener. He was always between sprints and that mid-distance point. Anything from the 200 to the 800 he was going to be good with. And it always seemed to be very interesting how you put a baton in his hand and all of a sudden he just became such a great 400-meter runner for us. Very reliable, very dependable. He got some state experience last year as one of our alternates, but we knew if we had to go to the alternate that we had a very dependable guy that we were going to put in place for any of those 4 guys that we had down there. But Jesus, we're really going to miss him. He's moving on to the Marines next year, so he's going to be able to do great things for himself. I wish we would have had some more time, but again, Jesus, just a very, very dependable guy. We're gonna really miss him. Next senior is Owen Riddell. Owen is a 4-year track athlete, and we finally, I think towards the end of his sophomore year or middle of his sophomore year, found what event he was going to be most helpful in, and that was pole vault. Pole vault is a very difficult event to kind of learn. You've got to be able to be a little crazy in order to pole vault, because you are completely inverting your body. Your head is where your toes are, and your toes are where your head is. You got to be able to go upside down, put yourself over a bar, and we started really seeing some good results from him last year as a junior. Even did so well enough to where he qualified for the sectional meet and was one place out from going to the state meet last year. But Owen kind of picked up right where he left off last year to start the season. Was doing very, very well with some of his vaulting. Was taking the good instruction, and we were seeing some really good things out of him. So it's hard to replace pole vaulters; those are hard to come by. It's just tough to replace. So we're going to really miss Owen and hope that he does some great things after the season too. Next senior is Jake Morrow. Jake, this was his first year running track for me in high school. I tried to get him out as a freshman, and I couldn't quite convince him to come out, but he wanted to come out this year. And Jake's attitude to coming out to track this year was, "Coach, I'll do whatever you want me to. I want to be helpful to the team." And you don't get kids who have that kind of maturity and that kind of attitude all the time to come out and say, I'll do whatever you need me to. I probably could have thrown him in a 2-mile, and he would have done it. I could have thrown him in a throwing event, and he would have greatly done it. And Jake was starting to find a home in some of our sprinting areas, in the 100 and the 400 areas particularly. Really going to miss Jake. Again, it's just hard to find an attitude like that to where you can kind of come out and have a kid do anything that you ask. And that just shows the kind of coachable athlete that he is. Really going to miss Jake. I wish we could have finished out the season, but I know he's going to do good things after this year. Our next senior boy is Reese Poe. This was Reese's first year of ever doing track, and I only had just a few short weeks to get to know Reese because when he came out to us, he was finishing up wrestling as a state runner-up for our school, so he got a very late start with us, and then it was a funny story how he wanted to come out. He actually came out to our first track meet of the season, stayed for the whole thing, and really, really enjoyed it, and came up to me after the meet and said, "Hey, I really enjoyed this. Do you think I could still come out?" I said, "Absolutely, come on out." So during that time, I could tell really, really quick that Reese had something to offer us. He had some good speed, made a very quick impact on our relay groups. I could see that there was some really good potential with Reese. Really, really likable kid. Took very well to coaching. It was going to be a really good season for him. So in that very short amount of time, I was very glad I had a chance to get to know him. I wish I had a little more time to see how his season would have blossomed just before our very eyes. But he's going to do great things after this season, I can tell. Just from a very short standpoint of he's a very hard worker. Whatever he does, he's going to do very well with, and we wish him nothing but the best. And our final senior is Zeke Brown. Zeke Brown, this was also his first year of doing track for me. Zeke primarily focused on the shot put. And when we finally were able to get him into a meet, we were starting to see that the boy's got some good strength. He was very coachable, had very good technique. He studied, was doing the right things and doing the little things in practice that we asked him to, and we're starting to see some very good throws out of him. So it's just a shame that we weren't able to kind of continue to focus on from there. But Zeke's going to be missed. I wish we could have had a little more time. I wish he would have come out before this season, but it's great to have these kids come out regardless of what the year is, just so we can kind of get a chance to know each other and build that relationship. But that is the end of my list. That was 8 senior boys, 7 senior girls. It's never easy to say goodbye to your seniors, particularly when I don't have the chance to be there in person to say that. I'm hoping that we can have this situation resolved in our community and our country and around the world soon enough, so I can say goodbye to my athletes one more time in person rather than on video. But like I said, I just kind of felt compelled to give you guys your moments. Your seniors, you live for this moment. You've earned and deserved this moment. So I just want to let you guys know that I love you. I'm always going to be there for you. You've got my number. Give me a call anytime you need me. I'll be there for you. I'm always going to be there for you. I hope that you guys have a good rest of your year. Now, and just do keep this in mind. I know we're going through rough times right now, but God has a bigger plan in mind than just the coronavirus. That's gonna pass. That's gonna move on. At this point in your life, your high school experience has probably been the funnest and most exciting thing that you've ever done. But this is not going to typically define your entire life experience. You've got bigger and better things to move on to, bigger and better experiences, and I hope that this was just a stepping stone for you to see those events unfold for you in your life. I hope that you grow up and mature into wonderful human beings, spouses, husbands, wives. I hope that you become great parents one day, and maybe I'll be lucky enough to be able to coach your children one day. Hopefully I'll be around long enough for that. But again, if you guys ever need anything, you know where to find me. Love you, and we'll talk to you soon.